I never thought I'd walk away from my marriage after 13 years together. But the night she backed me into a corner and gave me that ultimatum in front of all our friends, something inside me just broke. They always say it's the quiet ones you have to watch out for, because when we finally lose it, we really lose it. That night, I found out just how far I could be pushed. And honestly, it scared the life out of everyone in that room, including her. That moment changed everything. It's the night I started taking my life and my pride back. Name's Ethan Bennett. I'm 40 years old, and I've been married to Alyssa for over a decade. We first crossed paths at a corporate retreat out in Utah. One of those awkward team-building events where they have you fall backward, trusting someone to catch you. Well, she was the one who caught me. I still remember the way her hands felt, steady, like she had it all under control. And that was Alyssa in a nutshell. Sharp, stunning, and once she set her sights on something, nothing could stop her. Back then, we were that couple, everyone's relationship goal. The power duo at the office. We'd stay up late, lying side by side, trading kisses and talking about the future. We had plans, big ones. Career moves, a dream house with a big OL porch that wrapped around the whole place, and 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Just like in the movies. We thought we had everything lined up. But life? It doesn't always follow the script. Losing the baby changed everything. It changed us. It happened early, just 12 weeks in, but it hit us like a wrecking ball. I needed to talk about it. Alyssa didn't. She acted like it never happened, buried herself in work, and went full speed ahead up the corporate ladder. Left no space for grief. No space for me. I still remember the first time I truly felt that distance growing between us. It didn't come crashing in with a fight or slammed doors. No, it was simple. Just one morning, I was at the kitchen island, talking about maybe heading to the lake house her folks owned for the weekend. She was glued to her phone, scrolling like I wasn't even there. I paused mid-sentence when I realized she hadn't heard a word I'd said. She looked up, blinked at me, and asked me to say it again. But her eyes were already drifting back down to that screen. I mumbled, "Never mind. Doesn't matter." She gave a little nod, barely there, and kept reading her emails. Meanwhile, I stood there holding 2 coffee mugs, suddenly feeling like a stranger in my own kitchen. It was my buddy Ryan who spotted it before I fully did. We were watching a Patriots game at his place when he glanced over and asked how things were going at home. I gave him the classic guy answer. Fine. You know, that word we toss around when we don't really want to open up. He didn't drop it, though. Eyes still on the screen. He said, "You sure?" Alyssa's been acting different, distant. I felt myself get defensive, like he was taking a shot at her. She's just swamped. Big merger at her firm. Ryan nodded, took a swig of his beer. There's always a big merger, Ethan. I laughed it off and changed the subject, but his words stuck. Because deep down, I knew he was right. There was always something in the way. A client crisis. Another business trip. Late nights at the office. And me? I was always the patient one. The supportive husband. The guy who kept dinner warm in the oven just in case she made it home in time. The dependable Ethan, who never made a fuss, never asked too much. Until that night, when everything shifted. It was at her company's Christmas party where I first saw it. That look. The way her eyes lit up when she talked to Daniel Brooks, the new VP of Shadang. It wasn't exactly flirting. More like she was completely captivated. He was everything I wasn't. Loud, adventurous, with stories about skydiving and sailing around South America. I stood back in the corner, sipping a whiskey sour, watching her laugh at his stories like he was some kind of stand-up comic. She's just networking, I told myself. That was Alyssa's thing, building connections, climbing the ladder. And I used to love that about her. But when her hand rested on his arm just a little longer than it should have, I felt something twist in my gut. Later, on the snowy drive home, I tried to bring it up without sounding jealous. So, Daniel seems like an interesting guy, I said. She didn't even look up, just kept her eyes glued to her phone. He's brilliant. Did you know he doubled their conversion rate in 4 months? I just grunted. Impressive. She glanced up at me. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I muttered. Just saying you two seemed to hit it off. She let out this long, irritated sigh, the one that always meant she thought I was being dramatic. It's called being professional, Ethan. Some of us actually care about advancing our careers. That one stung. I'd turned down a promotion the year before, one that would have moved us to Columbus. She was furious at the time. Told me we agreed to chase success together. But I liked the life we had in Dayton. I liked my job. our neighborhood, our circle of friends. And deep down, I still hoped we'd try again for another baby. That hope felt pretty empty now. When we got home, she kicked off her heels and went straight upstairs. No quiet drink by the fireplace like we used to do. No replaying the party, no laughter about who got too tipsy. Just the sound of the shower, and then the bedroom door clicking shut. I ended up sleeping on the couch that night. Told myself it was so I wouldn't wake her. Truth is, I couldn't bring myself to lie next to her, pretending everything was okay, when the silence between us felt heavier than ever. Next morning, while I was making coffee, my brother Lucas called. "How's it going, little brother?" Lucas's voice boomed through the speaker, full of that bold Texas energy he'd picked up since moving to Dallas. "Fine," I said, automatically. "Work's been crazy." "Bull," he shot back without missing a beat. "Mom told me Alyssa didn't even call her for her birthday." I shut my eyes for a second. "She's been slammed with a new product launch," I muttered. Lucas didn't let up. "Too busy to make a 5-minute call to her mother-in-law? The same woman who helped pay for your wedding." I didn't have a good answer for that. His tone softened. "Look, I'll be up your way next month for that conference. Let's grab a beer." "Just us." "Yeah," I said, even though we both knew how that would probably go. Alyssa would find something last minute to put on the calendar. After we hung up, I just stood at the window for a while, staring out at our backyard. A bright red cardinal hopped across the deck, the snow all around it untouched. Alyssa and I built that deck together the first summer we moved in. Took us a whole Saturday. I remember smacking my thumb with the hammer, and she kissed it like I was a kid, then teased me about it the rest of the day. When we finished, we grilled steaks and split a 6-pack, already talking about all the summer barbecues we'd throw. We hadn't hosted anything in over 3 years. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the calendar. Valentine's Day was coming up. Maybe I could do something. Something to help us remember who we used to be. I started looking up romantic getaways, hoping I wasn't too late to pull something together. I made a reservation at Mario's, the place we'd celebrated our first anniversary. It was nostalgic. It felt right. But Valentine's Day came and went like any other Wednesday. Alyssa texted she had to work late, again. I ended up eating both of the chocolate-covered strawberries from the gift box and tossed the roses in the trash. Looking back, that should have been the night I finally confronted her. Instead, I just swallowed the disappointment, same as always, and went to bed early. The next morning, I ran into Ryan at the gym. He took one look at me, sweating hard, lifting more than usual, and gave me that look. "Rough night?" he asked. "Something like that," I grunted, pushing through another rep. After the workout, we sat with our protein shakes, and for once, I actually opened up. Told him about the distance, about Alyssa and Daniel the perfect VP, about how I'd booked that Valentine's dinner, and ended up going solo. Ryan didn't sugarcoat anything. "Time to man up," he said. "You think she respects a doormat? Show her what she's about to lose." It hit like a punch, but it also rang true. Had I become a doormat? When did I stop standing up for myself, or for us? That weekend, I did something different. Something I hadn't done in a long time. I didn't ask. I didn't check her calendar. I just acted. I booked a cabin up in the Green Mountains, packed my duffel, made coffee, and was sitting at the kitchen island when Alyssa came down, already dressed in her spin class gear. "What's this?" she asked, eyeing my bag. "I'm heading to the mountains for the weekend," I said casually. "Leaving in 30 minutes if you want to come." Her mouth opened like she had something to say, then closed. "I can't just drop everything. I've got brunch with Julia. And a report due." "Okay," I said simply, cutting her off. "See you Sunday night." The stunned look on her face almost made my stomach twist. Almost. But I finished my coffee, grabbed my bag, and walked out without a second glance. The cabin was exactly what I needed. I hiked until my legs ached, stood on a ridge where I could see 3 states at once, and breathed air that didn't reek of stress or silence. That night, by the fire, in that quiet cabin, I finally faced the truth. My marriage was falling apart, and I'd been too scared to do anything about it. My phone buzzed. "Alyssa." I didn't answer. Later, I played her voicemail. "Where exactly are you?" "Julia's husband said the Green Mountain Resort is closed for renovations. Are you with someone? Call me back immediately." I didn't call back. Not because I was trying to hurt her, but because, for once, I was putting myself first. And it felt like I was finally waking up. When I got home Sunday night, the house was dark. I flipped on the kitchen light, and there she was, sitting at the island, still in her work clothes. Her face didn't show much, but her eyes were cold. Where on earth have you been? She asked, voice like ice. Exactly where I said I'd be, I answered calmly. Cedar Creek Cabin, east side of the mountain. I called the resort, she snapped. They said. I didn't stay at the resort, I cut in. I wanted some privacy. She looked at me like I was someone she didn't recognize. Maybe I was. The Ethan who left Friday wasn't the one standing in that kitchen now. So what is this, huh? Your little rebellion? Disappearing without telling me where you're staying? I set my keys on the counter. When's the last time you told me where you've really been, Alyssa? All those late nights, those weekend emergencies, you think I haven't noticed? Her eyes flashed, widened for just a second, then narrowed. What exactly are you accusing me of? I'm not accusing, I said quietly. I'm just asking, why are we pretending like everything's fine? We've been living separate lives for months. She stood up slowly, arms crossed tight. You're being ridiculous. I've been working. Some of us have ambition, she snapped. No, I said, voice steady. Some of us just have different priorities. And clearly, I'm not one of yours anymore. Before she could fire back, the front door opened. Voices echoed from the hallway. I'd completely forgotten, game night with the Matthews and the Parkers. Alyssa had insisted we host, even though we hadn't actually played in months. We'll finish this later, she hissed through clenched teeth. No, I said, firmer this time. We finish it now. Hello? Julia's voice called from the entry. Anybody home? Alyssa's cheeks flushed, a mix of fury and panic. Don't you dare make a scene, she warned. But something inside me had snapped. Months of silence, of swallowing my pride, of pretending everything was fine. I was done pretending. Our friends walked in carrying wine bottles and store-bought appetizers, their cheerful energy fading as they stepped into the tension. Alyssa flipped her switch, putting on that perfect, polished smile. The same one that earned her Salesperson of the Year more times than I could count. Ethan just got back from a little solo trip, she said brightly. Who wants wine? But I was done playing along. Actually, I said, I think you all should head home. Alyssa and I need to talk. She froze, wine bottle in mid-pour. Ethan, she hissed. Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. No, I said calmly. I'm just being honest. I turned to the group. I'm sorry, guys, but we're not up for company tonight. That's when she snapped. She slammed the bottle down on the counter, red wine splashing onto the white surface, staining it with dark, rich color. You don't get to decide this, she yelled. You disappear all weekend and now you're giving orders? She gave me an ultimatum, right there in front of everyone. Either get with the program or get out. Stay or go. I didn't say a word. I just picked up my keys, turned, and walked out. The silence behind me was deafening. I drove through the night, no idea where I was headed, just knew I needed to be anywhere but there. Some country song came on about heartbreak and promises gone cold. I shut it off. The silence was better. Eventually, I ended up at the Blue Jay, a dive bar Ryan, and I used to hit after games. It was nearly empty. A few regulars hunched over their drinks in the corners. Whiskey. Neat. I told the bartender, a woman covered in tattoos who looked like she didn't have time for anyone's drama. 2 drinks in, my phone started buzzing. Alyssa. Then Julia. Then Chad Matthews. I turned it off and stuffed it in my pocket. Woman trouble, the bartender said, sliding me another glass. How'd you guess? You've got the look, she said, wiping down the bar. Like you're trying to decide if you want to fight or just give up. I let out a dry laugh. Think I'm done fighting. Especially for someone who stopped fighting for us a long time ago. She nodded, like that made all the sense in the world. No fake sympathy. No canned lines about how it'll all work out or suggesting therapy. Just quiet understanding that sometimes things break. And no matter how much you want to fix them, the pieces don't fit like they used to. My phone stayed off, but my wedding ring felt heavier by the minute. I twisted it around my finger, thinking back to the day she slid it on. How sure we'd been. How young. That night, I crashed at Ryan Place. He didn't ask questions. Just tossed me a spare blanket and said, guest room's yours. Next morning, I called in sick for the first time in 2 years. Then I drove to Lucas's lake house. He'd given me a key years ago, told me to use it whenever I needed to get away. I never had, until now. The cabin smelled like pine and dust and peace. I opened all the windows to let the cold, clean air blow through. Then I sat on the deck, looking out at the frozen lake, and made a list. Not a pros and cons list about my marriage. I was past that. This one was about next steps. Real steps. I need my own place. We need a lawyer. We need to figure out how to untangle 13 years of life together. It should have scared me. But instead, I felt lighter than I had in months. Hard? Absolutely. But at least it would be real. Later, I finally turned my phone back on. A text popped up from Alyssa. We need to talk. Where are you? No apology. No, I'm sorry. Just a demand. I typed a response. Deleted it. Some conversations shouldn't happen over text. So instead, I called the one person I knew would shoot it to me straight. Mom? Yeah, it's me. You got time to talk? She listened quietly while I laid it all out. The growing distance. The missed Valentine's dinner. The mountains. The fight in front of our friends. When I finally stopped talking, she paused for a moment. I always thought Alyssa was a little too polished, she said. Like she was playing a part. Mom, I started, but she cut me off. Let me finish. You deserve someone who loves the real you, Ethan. Not the version of you that fits neatly into someone else's perfect little life plan. I sat there on the deck, staring out across the lake. There was a lone fisherman out there on the ice, sitting calmly on a folding chair beside his fishing hole. Quiet. Still. Patient and steady. Two things I'd always taken pride in, until they started to feel like excuses for doing nothing. I think it's over, Mom, I finally said. Honestly, it's been over for a while. She was quiet for a second, then said gently, then be kind. But be clear. Don't drag it out. Her voice softened even more. Your father and I raised you to be a good man, but being good doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. After we hung up, I sent Alyssa a text. I'll be home tomorrow evening to talk. Just us. Her reply came instantly. I've been worried sick. Where are you? I didn't reply. For once, I didn't feel like I had to explain myself. The next day, I headed back to Dayton. Windows down, despite the cold, and Willie Nelson on the radio singing about pain and redemption. The wind in my face felt like it was peeling off layers I didn't need anymore. I felt ready. Not excited, but ready. The house was dark, except for the kitchen light. Alyssa sat at the island, perfectly made up, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she wasn't drinking. Where have you been? She asked. No greeting, no warmth. Lucas's lake house, I said. I needed space to think. Her lips tightened. You humiliated me in front of our friends. Not a single word about missing me. No apology. Just damage control. As always. I dropped my keys on the counter. I'm moving out, Alyssa. Her eyes widened like I'd gone off script. Don't be dramatic, she said quickly. We had a fight. Couples fight. We haven't been a couple in a long time, I said calmly. We're just two people, sharing a space. Is this about Daniel? She asked. Because nothing happened. It's not about him. It's about us. I paused, searching for words. It's the way you light up around him. Or around your work. Around anything, except me. She stood up, folding her arms across her chest. So I care about my career. That's not a crime. No, it's not, I said, shaking my head. But somewhere along the way, you stopped caring about us. And I guess, so did I. She stepped around the kitchen island, and for a second, I thought maybe she was going to reach for me, like she used to. But she didn't. She just stood there, arms still crossed, defenses up. What do you want from me, Ethan? To quit my job? Be some 1960s housewife? I want you to be honest, I said. With yourself. Because I don't think I'm what you want anymore. She didn't say anything, but her silence told me everything I needed to know. 3 weeks after I moved out, I found a one-bedroom downtown. It had big windows that looked out over the river. No lawn to mow. No granite countertops or fancy closets. But it was mine. Just mine. And for the first time in a long while, that felt like enough. Lucas helped me move in. Just the essentials. My clothes. My grandpa's old armchair. The record collection Alyssa always hated. She used to roll her eyes and call it clutter, pushing for me to just use Spotify. But I liked the process. Picking out an album, lowering the needle, waiting for that soft crackle before the music started. You seem good, Lucas said, cracking open a couple of beers after we finished setting up the furniture. Better than I expected. I'm getting there, I said, taking a long sip. Filing the divorce papers tomorrow. He raised an eyebrow. That was quick. No chance of patching things up. I hadn't told him about that last night in the house. About how once Alyssa realized I wasn't bluffing, the mask dropped. The panic set in. You can't just throw away 13 years, she yelled. Not, I love you. Not, let's fix this. Just, what will people think? That moment, it sealed everything. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do, I told Lucas, is make a clean break. He nodded slowly. Proud of you, little brother. Takes guts to start over. Later that night, after Lucas left, I unpacked a box labeled office and found an old photo, me and Alyssa on our honeymoon in Oahu. She was smiling, eyes full of something real back then. I didn't feel angry. I just set it aside quietly, like I was closing a chapter. My phone buzzed. It was Ryan, asking if I wanted to join him and the guys for poker on Saturday. I sent back a quick, yeah, sounds good. Then another message came through. Alyssa, the Harrisons invited us to their anniversary party. What should I tell them? I just stared at the message. Even now, she was thinking about appearances, how things look to other people. I typed back, tell them whatever you want. I won't be there. Then I dropped my phone on the table, put on an old Willie Nelson record, and poured myself a bourbon. I stood by the window, watching the river flow past, steady and unbothered, no matter what it had to carry away. The next morning, I met with a divorce attorney, someone a coworker had recommended. Her name was Emily Clark. She had kind eyes in this calm, no-nonsense presence I really appreciated. Ohio is a no-fault state, she explained. You don't have kids, and the assets are pretty straightforward. This doesn't have to be messy. I don't want it to be, I told her. I just want to be fair. She gave me a small nod. You'd be surprised how rare that is. Then she slid a folder across the desk. Fill these out. We'll file next week. On my way out of her office, my phone buzzed. It was Mom. How are you holding up? She asked without even saying hello. One foot in front of the other, I said honestly. But I'm moving forward. That's my boy, she said, and I could hear the quiet pride in her voice. Spring came in all at once, like someone flipped a switch. The path along the river outside my apartment filled up with joggers, people walking dogs, couples holding hands. Life everywhere. I joined them one Sunday morning, ran until my lungs burned and sweat soaked through my shirt. And somehow, that pain felt good. Honest. Immediate. Temporary. 7 weeks had passed since I walked out. The divorce was moving along quietly. Alyssa had been surprisingly civil once she realized I wasn't out to punish her. Our lawyers handled the paperwork. We agreed to sell the house. No drama. Just closure. I was drying off after another long run when my phone rang. Alyssa. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Hello. Ethan, she said, voice tight. I need to talk to you. In person. My stomach twisted. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, she said quickly. There are things I need to say. Not over the phone. I hesitated, weighing it. Okay. When? Can you meet me at Mario's? 7. Mario's. The place where we had our first date. The same place I'd made that Valentine's Day reservation she never showed up for. Life had a sense of irony. Fine, I said, keeping my voice flat. See you then. I got there right on time. She was already seated, wearing a blue dress I didn't recognize. She was fidgeting with her water glass, hands restless. Thanks for coming, she said. I just nodded, waiting. I've been seeing someone from work, she said, like she couldn't hold it in anymore. It's new, but I wanted you to hear it from me before the rumors started. Daniel? I asked, already knowing. She looked startled. Yes. How did you? I'm not blind, Alyssa. I kept my voice even. Is that what this is about? Because you could have just texted. No, she said quickly. That's not all. I wanted to say. I'm sorry. That caught me off guard. I didn't handle things well, she continued. I checked out of our marriage long before I admitted it to myself. I should have been honest. Yeah, I said quietly. You should have. But there was no satisfaction in hearing it now. Just a quiet, dull ache where the anger used to be. You deserved better, she said, barely above a whisper. We both did. I took a sip of water. That's in the past now. She looked at me for a long moment, like she was seeing me clearly for the first time in months. You look good, Ethan, she said. Different. I feel different, I replied. Turns out walking away from something that's not working can actually be the strongest move. Her eyes flickered at that. I think she expected me to lash out, maybe even beg her to reconsider. But she was sitting across from a man who'd already let go. The rest of the dinner was surprisingly civil. We talked about selling the house, caught up on mutual friends, even laughed a little at the early days without bitterness. When the check came, I paid. Not out of duty, just closure. A final gesture. Outside, she held out her hand. Take care of yourself, Ethan. I shook it. Firm, but kind. You too, Alyssa. Walking to my car, I felt lighter than I had in years. Like I'd finally put down a weight I didn't realize I'd been dragging. The future was out there now. Unwritten. Wide open. Fall came quickly, turning the riverside path into a painting, amber and gold everywhere. I had a routine now. Morning runs. Poker nights with Ryan and the guys. Dinner with Mom, and sometimes Lucas when he passed through town. Life had gotten simpler, but it was mine. The divorce was finalized in September. Alyssa got the house, but ended up selling it anyway. She moved into one of those modern condos downtown, closer to her office. Sleek, cold. Not really my style, but it suited her. We ran into each other once at a coffee shop. It was awkward but polite. We chatted for 5 minutes, like we were old classmates catching up, not people who'd lived together for 13 years. Funny how fast things shift. But today felt different. I'd woken up with this restless energy I couldn't shake. Maybe it had something to do with the envelope sitting on my kitchen counter, an invite to my company's annual gala. My first one as a single man. I laced up my running shoes and hit the river path hard. Pushed myself harder than usual. My legs ached, my shirt soaked with sweat, but I kept going. 2 miles in, I spotted someone familiar up ahead, Julia Matthews, jogging with her golden retriever. Ethan, she called out as I caught up. Hey, I said, slowing down to match her pace. Long time. Yeah, have you been? Keeping busy, I said, which was true in the simplest way. She nodded. Things are good with me and Chad. Then she hesitated. Actually, I've been meaning to call you. I glanced over. The Parkers are hosting a dinner next weekend. Low-key. Just a few couples, she said. They asked me to see if you'd come. I raised an eyebrow. Just me? Or me and a date? She flushed a little. Well, they did mention my sister's in town. Olivia? I asked, already remembering. The one I met at your anniversary party? She smiled. Yeah, she's divorced too. Just moved back from Milwaukee. I remembered her. Smart. Funny. Her laugh filled a room. Under different circumstances, I said, I might have noticed more. Julia tilted her head. It's not a setup. Just dinner with friends. Her voice softened. We miss you, Ethan. Not everything has to change, just because. Just because my marriage fell apart in front of all of you? I finished. No bitterness in my voice, just truth. She winced a little. That's not how we see it. I thought about it for a moment. Maybe avoiding people wasn't helping me heal. Maybe the only way forward was through. What time should I be there? Julia lit up. 7. And bring that bourbon Chad loves. Later, after a hot shower, I found myself thinking about Olivia Matthews. About what it might mean to be open to possibility. For the first time since the divorce, the idea of meeting someone new didn't feel like cheating. It didn't feel impossible. As I got dressed, my phone buzzed. Lucas, got tickets to the Patriots game next Sunday. You in? I texted back right away, wouldn't miss it. The rest of the day was simple. Groceries. Laundry. Prepping meals for the week. Stuff that used to be divided up or discussed, now it was just part of my rhythm. My life. That evening, I poured a glass of bourbon and stepped out onto the little balcony. Below me, the river kept flowing steady and always moving forward. Kind of like me. The Parkers' dinner party wasn't what I expected. No weird pauses. No sad glances. Just good food, real conversation, and the kind of laughter you don't fake. Olivia was even more engaging than I remembered. Turns out she teaches literature, and she's got this sharp, dry sense of humor that made everyone lean in when she talked. She asked about the divorce. No dancing around it. Mine was a disaster, she said over dessert. He had an affair with my department chair. Faculty meetings got awkward. I chuckled. Mine just faded away, like a photo left out in the sun. She nodded slowly. Sometimes that's worse. No villain. Just two people who stopped finding each other. We exchanged numbers, no pressure. No expectations. Just possibility. 3 weeks later, I took her to dinner. Then a concert the next weekend. Then hiking in a state park the weekend after that. Every time we went out, it felt like I was opening up a new room in a house I thought I'd lived in forever. 7 months after walking out of my marriage, I found myself back at the Blue Jay, the dive bar I'd run to that first night. Only this time, I wasn't there to drown my sorrows. I was meeting Lucas before the Patriots game. You seem good, he said, watching me over his beer. Really good. I am, I said. And I meant it. Took a while, but I got there. And this Olivia woman? He asked with a grin. I smiled. She's part of it. Yeah. I took a sip of beer. But not all of it. Had to figure out who Ethan was on his own first. Lucas raised his glass. Well, here's to that. Mom's impressed, Lucas said. She thought you'd be a wreck for at least a year. Mom underestimates me, I told him, grinning. We all did, little brother. He raised his glass. To walking away when you need to. And to whatever comes after, I added. As we headed toward the stadium, my phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. Good luck to your Patriots. Dinner at my place later? I make 'em mean chili. I texted back a quick yes, and just like that, a smile spread across my face. That night, after the game, we curled up on her couch. The dishes were washed, the chili was gone, and the whole place smelled like comfort. It felt warm. Easy. I found myself opening up. Told her about the night I left. About Alyssa's ultimatum. About the quiet that followed. The wait. The fear. And finally, the choice to step forward into something unknown. That took courage, Olivia said, her fingers gently laced with mine. Not just leaving, but choosing to build something new after. Turns out I'm stronger than I thought, I said. I'm glad you found out, she whispered. Then she leaned in and kissed me, and it didn't feel like a moment of escape. It felt like the start of something real. Outside, snow had started falling. Soft, steady, covering up the old with something clean and new. I had walked away from a life that no longer fit me. And in doing so, I walked toward the man I was always meant to be. Whole, clear, and finally, genuinely happy.